Time. T25 is a reference that no one will get because nobody, except for me, does those work at home workouts. Yeah, just one more push-up. But yeah, good joke, mate. So, we're going to be talking about time in this video. Elusive. It's kind of a deep subject because, first of all, it's a construct, and up until very recently, there wasn't some kind of standardized form of time. And when you go to ancient tribes, this is the scariest thing. A lot of ancient tribes, well, not ancient tribes, what's the word? Uncontacted tribes. Uncontacted tribes have no concept of time. There was this guy that went in and tried to, Christianize some Amazonian tribe. I can't remember what it was. And there were people before him that tried to do it. He stuck around there for 15 years trying to do this. And eventually he was able to do it. But what he had to observe was the fact that their language was so different. All other European languages, they followed a similar structure, right? But the thing is that these languages, it doesn't make, I can't even remember because like when they were trying to explain the language, it was just so foreign to me. I just didn't understand how they got to that point. But obviously that's what's going to happen, right? If you're not building off of structures and you're just kind of organically making a language, obviously it's going to make no sense. But what happened is that they realized is that, the way that you look at the world is a lot of the factors that just the way that you're looking at it via language. So, I don't know, in Japan, for instance, how like they're always saying instead of cool or something, they're always going, oh, nostalgia. And you know how a lot of their animes, it's just got this really nostalgic feeling of, I wish I was there. Oh, that's right, I was never a Japanese female toddler. But that's because they're constantly thinking about nostalgia, and so that's the lens that they're seeing the world through. And it's similar with English and obviously every other language. Even within the European languages, if you learn another European language and you are able to see the world through, say, a Spanish man's view and an Englishman's view, you are going to have more diverse distinctions and you're going to notice things that you never noticed before. That's what he was talking about when he was with these Amazonian tribes. They were noticing things that he had, until he understood the language, basically he was saying that it tripped him out. When he finally understood their language, it was like taking acid. It was a completely different world. There was such a language barrier that the way that they were seeing the world was just diametrically opposed. One of the things that he was talking about was time. Time, to them, didn't exist. There wasn't even, okay, you're sitting there and thinking, all right, well, surely they just kind of timed it through the sun or seeing when the moon was out and stuff. No, they thought that the sun and the moon were kind of just, these organic entities themselves that were sitting there and being like, I'm angry at you, so I'm going to make you cold. Idiots! And so, what happened in this world was because there was no concept of time, obviously, everything else around it, there's no psychological pressure there. The main reason that they invented time, well, first of all, because it's just an incredible organization tool, obviously. But the other reason that you want to have some form of time is because it kind of puts some kind of pressure on you constantly. Of just like, you got to get this done, you got to get this time. Time is ticking. You'll hear this all the time. Now, the scary thing about time is that everybody has a different concept of it, but again, just like how the languages of them were very different to European languages, but because we all just have that standardized system of time now, we're all working off it, but within that, just like how language works, even you and I, even though we're speaking English, we use different words come to mind. It's the same thing with time. Some people, for instance, would think that time, a long period of time, is an hour. Other people would think that a long period of time is 100 years. Obviously, the person that thinks that an hour is going to think that 100 years is a longer period of time, but they will say, that's a really long period of time. You see how this works? Well, do you or not? Go on. You can't answer. Pathetic. So that's the way that... So, the way that people are constructing their lives varies on how they are perceiving time. How do you perceive time? Because if you look at a CEO's life, they have their life structured to the minute. I don't think I can handle that. I'm not that important. But you know what I've noticed? I'm getting there. I'm getting, every year that goes past, the bigger the Friendly Geordies expands, the more things that I have to do in a day, the more you just are forced to organize. And I think that the fact that I was even getting into that place, you know the phrase, fake it till you make it? I think it was the fact that I used to write down the hours that I was going to be awake, rough approximations of what I would be doing in that time. Then I moved to the Tony Robbins method, which was just like, you know, writing up the priorities of what you wanted to do that day. I think that that is more motivating. It's definitely more motivating because it makes you think like, okay, I only need to do these 3 things today. And if I'm able to do 2 of those 3 major things today, that's a win. But if I'm able to do 3 of those things, it's time to celebrate, baby. And then do that Tom Cruise scene where he comes out with the underwear. What the fuck movie is that from? Is that Cocktail? I still have to see it. Is it good? So with time, I think that the fact that I was prioritizing my time, it kind of just, even though I was unemployed, I had nowhere to be, ever. I lived in just this end. I was one of those Amazonian tribe men, just feel like fish. That's all I had to think about all day. But the fact that I put those things down, that I started from the beginning, finished at the end, wrote down what I should be doing in those hours, it put that pressure there. Now that it's happening, I kind of am forced to do it. Like now, it's not even just pretending to do it, it's just there. But I think it's just one of those things. You know, it's the same thing with an athlete, how he just sits there and he imagines running a race, and he will do better than another athlete who doesn't do that. It is the same thing. You are just rehearsing for the day that you actually are busy. And so you should be doing it now. You should be thinking about how you value time. Because at the end of the day, it is the great equalizer. Huh? End of the day? Do you get it? At the end of the day, it's the equalizer. You have as much time as Bill Gates does. And I think, this is the other thing. I don't know the guy, but I would assume that he doesn't sit there endlessly reading comments and watching bullshit videos on YouTube. And it's because he has learned to value his time. That is why he is in that position that he is. People will say that, you'll get this comment every time on this channel. Oh, what about the fact that he was wealthy? Yeah, we get all that. We get that his parents are wealthy. Shut the fuck up. Go to Friendly Geordies to whine about that. Here, we're just talking about you as an individual, what you're responsible for. You're responsible for valuing your time. Time is it is the most important subject there is. That is why, in this lockdown, I was happy about it. Everybody, all the other comedians that I was talking to, they were all just saying that, oh yeah, this sucks, we can't go out and tour. But this is what they don't understand. In this time, when you are forced to be here by yourself, you can write a whole new stand-up show. So you will have one stand-up show ahead for the rest of your life. You will be one step ahead for the rest of your life if you utilize this time instead of sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself. How do you value your time? Think about that. What do you see as a long period of time? What do you see as a short period of time? These are important questions to ask because it will determine how you're seeing the world. Because you will notice this over and over. People who are very unproductive are not valuing time. It goes synonymously with each other. They have nowhere to be. They are not organizing their day. They will just see it as kind of like afternoon, night, no, I'm sleepy. They see the world through the way the dogs see the world, really, of just being like, dinner time. But you can make it more precise than that. And if you spent the 15 minutes the CEOs do, sitting there and just blocking out time to the minute, as in, I have 10 minutes here, I have 3 minutes there. Wow, what a way to see the world. And it's the same thing when it comes to this great book that I was reading about Time Warrior. If you're talking about productivity, that's the way to do it. Just do this. It's the way of just tricking yourself, because you can just think about it. This is why it's important when you come to like short periods of time and long periods of time. If you perceive 3 minutes as a short period of time, I do. I am constantly asking myself, can I just work on this for the next 3 minutes? You know what happens? As soon as you work on it for even a couple of sentences, your mind just goes into that track. Again, your mind just wants to continue to do whatever it's currently doing. So, if you just say, can I focus on this for the next 3 minutes? The answer is obviously yes. You always have 3 minutes to spare. This is the other thing that you'll hear people always saying. And this is why, another thing, because hypnosis starts to happen around time. People will always say I just don't have the time. That is not true. That is not true. You have 3 minutes. You always have 3 minutes. At every moment of your life, you have 3 minutes to change what you're doing. That's why you should be focusing on the concept of time and what you are saying around it. Are you one of those people that says, I have all the time in the world? Are you one of those people that say, I don't have any time? Again, it is a psychological construct. Time doesn't really exist. So, morph it to benefit you. I think that's the way that you should start it though. Start thinking about time in chunked blocks. Think about it in smaller increments. It's the key to everything in life. Everybody always sees the big picture and then they say, I'm not there, and then they don't even try. But if you think yeah, that's there, but I can do this thing to get there today, first of all, you will feel good doing that. Because the whole key to happiness in life is progress. But on top of that, you're closer to it, and you become more competent, and you become more confident as a result of all of that. Time is one of the critical tools that gets you to that point. Just valuing your time, using it better. That's why it's a good idea to get conscious of your time. Okay, like the video, give me questions. Hope that you're doing well in this post-apocalyptic world.